Welcome to INN's Student. INN Student is a platform for law students to come here and deliver a lecture on the topic of their choice. Today we have with us law student Sneha Tiwari. She is going to speak on winding up of the companies under the Companies Act 2013. She is from KES Shri Jayantilal H. Patel College of Law. So without wasting further time, I would request her to commence with the lecture. Thank you.
Greetings to everyone. Myself Sneha Tiwari. I will be taking you through and inside the topic of the discussion on winding up of a company, which falls under Chapter 20 of the Companies Act 2013. Before heading towards this topic, let's firstly understand the difference between the winding up and the dissolution. Both dissolution and winding up relate to the company's end and sometimes bit confused by the people. Winding up is the process whereas the liquidator is appointed to settle and distribute the company's asset among the creditors and the relevant stakeholders. Whereas dissolution of a company is when a company is dissolved by the order of tribunal, that is NCLT, basically means National Company Law Tribunal. After the completion of this winding up process, the company's dissolution brings its existence to an end and its name is struck off by the registrar of the companies. Now we'll go towards the introduction of the winding up. Winding up of a company is a legal process that involves closing a business, liquidating its assets, settling liabilities and distributing the remaining funds to the shareholders before dissolving the company. A company is a legal entity that operates with the goal of generating profits and providing goods and services. However, not all business succeed and at times company may need to cease operation due to financial difficulties, legal issues or strategic decisions. Winding up is a critical part of a corporate governance and financial management. It ensures that a company that can no longer function efficiently or meet its obligations is properly closed while protecting the interest of creditors and employees and the shareholders. According to Companies Act 2013, winding up is the process where a company life is brought to an end and its property is administered for the benefit of creditors and members. Winding up refers to the process of dissolving a business. It involves the key steps: liquidating assets, selling of the company's assets to generate cash, paying creditors, settling any outstanding debts owed to creditors, distributing remaining assets, allocating any leftover assets to shareholders or partners after debts have been settled. There are basically two types of winding up. First is voluntary winding up and second is compulsory winding up. But now we'll discuss about grounds, which are the grounds of winding up. Under section 271 of winding up, a company may be winding up by the tribunal or by the voluntary winding up. First, voluntary resolution, when the company passes a special resolution to be wound up. Second, public interest concerns, if the company engages in activities against national security, national sovereignty, integrity, etc. Third, fraudulent and illegal practices, if a company operates fraudulently or unlawfully. Last, equitable necessity, when the tribunal determines that winding up is necessary for justice and stakeholder protections. Now, we'll talk about what is voluntary winding up. Voluntary winding up occurs when a company's members or creditors decide to dissolve the business without any legal compulsions. There is a preferred method when a company no longer wishes to operate, has completed its objectives or cannot sustain itself financially. Before the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016, voluntary winding up was governed solely by the Companies Act 2013. However, after the introduction of IBC, voluntary winding up of solvent companies is regulated by section 59 of the IBC, whereas insolvent companies following the corporate insolvency resolution process CIRP under the IBC. First, members' voluntary winding up is initiated when the company is financially stable but decides to dissolve. Second, creditors' voluntary winding up occurs when a company is insolvent and unable to pay its debts. We'll give you one illustration where insolvency company are company which are no more financially stable and won't be able to cater the needs of the company. In such cases, company goes for winding up of the company, so it is known as the voluntary winding up. There are some reasons of voluntary winding up. First, the inability to continue business operation. Second, insolvency and financial difficulties. Third, change in ownership or management, etc. There are procedures for winding up. In voluntary winding up, basically there must be first board meeting and resolution, second declaration of solvency, third shareholders approval, and that is goes on, and the last which there ends is preparation of liquidators final report, and now the company is fully wind up. Last, the compulsory winding up, which is also known as tribunal ordered winding up. Compulsory winding up, also known as tribunal ordered winding up, happens when the National Company Law Tribunal issues an order to dissolve a company due to specific reasons. Under Section 271 of Companies Act, a company may be compulsorily wind up if it is unable to pay debts, engages in fraudulent or illegal activities, fails to submit financial statements, or if the government determines that its closure is necessary for the public interest. Here again one illustration. Company which affects the public policy like trafficking the illegal weapons under a name of company which is against the security of India. There are some grounds of compulsory winding up. First, the inability to pay debts. There is one case law of King Airlines where Vijay Mallya failed to share their and repay the creditors the amount, so the company was compulsorily winded up by the government. But there are some challenges to wind up the company, which must be financial burden and high, secured versus unsecured creditors, overburdened NCLT benches, difficulty in finding buyers for assets. So winding up is not an easy process, but by seeing the natural environment, it becomes necessary for government or by the people to do it. Thank you.
Sneha, thank you very much. You have given a nice overview of this concept of winding up in the Companies Act 2013. So, a small token from Hammurabi to you.